Good morning, everyone. This is Kathy Mason from MasonWorks Marketing here on Conscious Business Zone with my new friend, Carly Thorne. Hi, Carly.
Hi, how are you? I'm so looking forward to this.
Yeah, me too. I can't wait to learn more about all that you do. Carly and I were introduced to each other by Victoria Reynolds, who's an old friend of mine. And as we've started talking together and looking at each other's resumes, we have a lot in common. So I am so excited to learn more about Carly today and see how she could help everyone on Conscious Business Zone that is working at staying in love, in light, in kindness during these changing times. So, Carly, let's start with your journey because you're a director, a producer, an actress, an author, a speaker, and a transformation leader. And your story is amazing. Do you want to share a little bit about what molded you to be
Sure.
superhuman?
Okay, I know where you're going with that. I'm a medically complex patient. That's where she's going, and now I've had 67 surgeries, and you have to find a way to stay positive and choose to live. You have a choice. So going through all that made me have to literally choose choice points. And I studied all of Eastern medication and Eastern philosophies, and then I studied Western medicine and Western philosophies, and anything I could possibly do to work on myself and my health. And obviously, life coaching is really huge in that because I'm all about transformations and butterflies. The cocoon, 9 months in our womb, same things like a cocoon. You come out of the womb, you come out of the cocoon, and you're changing, you're transforming into something else. So my whole life has been about transformations, and my life number is a 5, which is transformations. So yeah, so a lot of it is just the journey. It's been an everyday journey. Wake up the next day and it's just another day.
My life number is a 5 too.
Is it really? Oh my God. Oh, and by the way, Victoria is a very old friend. We did production together way back when.
Oh, wow. Okay.
I've known Victoria for, I don't know, like 15 years.
Yeah, I've known her over 10. So,
Yeah.
okay. So Carly, there's lots of different points that you could talk about that shaped you. I mean, obviously your physical health caused you to go down a journey of discovery, and a lot of your gifts are based on mind over matter, right? So,
Yes.
but could you talk about that? Because now you're seeing Joe Dispenza's work really getting out there everywhere. Greg Braden, who I've worked with, is getting out there everywhere with his work. And I'm also really excited about AJ Spina. I don't know if you know. I love his stuff. I got 3 of those books. Anyway, could you talk about how you came to this conclusion and maybe how that could help some of us?
Yeah. So, you have Conscious Business Zone. My phrase has always been conscious business collaborations. And the reason why I chose conscious business collaborations is because it's a we society. It's not an I society. And in order to get things done, in order to create a project, in order to work on yourself, it takes teamwork. It takes a we mindset. And that whole thing is positivity has to be underneath all that. So I wear colorful shirts with sayings on them as starter conversations. I always wear bright colors because it's not just about the other person, it's also about me. And I have to keep myself in a positive state. And so I use a lot of music, sound vibratory music for mindset, and also focus music for mindset. And what I wear is my mindset. If I'm in black all the time and gray, and that actually affects me and I get very depressed. So I always wear bright colors with flowers or whatever on it. But you have to, it's all about choice. It comes down to choice. I mean, there are many times I really didn't want to be here anymore. I was kind of done with being on Earth. And, you know, it got to a point where I really needed to make a choice, either to stay or to go. And that required me having a very strong, positive mindset to keep myself going.
So now we're going through these waves of change. And just like you, I'm a number 5. I like change. If there isn't change, I make it. And actually, that's why a lot of people hire me is because they want change too. What would you say is some of your insights into this time of change that we're in right now and how to navigate it?
Yeah, so I think we really need to go back to some basics and look back at our values and our belief systems. And that is not serving you is the time to let that go. And transformation and change is how we grow. We don't change and we don't transform, we don't grow. So you need to embrace change. And like you said, create change if change isn't happening, because you really need to be in a zone where you're actually growing. It's so important. And let's see. I don't know. I think the biggest things for me is all about the we mindset, because too many people are about an I mindset.
Yes, yes. So what we're seeing right now is we're seeing that for those of us that are sensitive, we're seeing any of our barriers. People call it shadow work, but our barriers to love and kindness. Because really, this next era is about loving kindness to ourselves and others. And all of those judgments that our ego or our family, however it was imprinted on us, all of those judgments were originally designed to protect us and keep us safe and keep us alive. But now we're finding that they're just in the way of us evolving to a different society. Could you talk a little bit about either your learnings of, because you've studied so many teachers, could you talk a little bit about how you integrate the knowing that all is well is happening?
Yeah, so I think we need to be open-minded enough to realize that there is something greater than us. I don't know, depends whatever you believe in. In other words, if you believe in God, a higher power, dharma, karma, whatever that is to you, we really need to get back to some faith. Faith in ourselves, faith in others. And right now we're in this time of change where people are needing to choose to let go. And a lot of people are afraid to let go, because if they let go, they're afraid of the unknown. So you have to embrace the unknown. It's really important to embrace it, because the unknown is where it's going to take you to your next level. It's going to take you through to the next place that you need to go. So that is so important, just to be open-minded.
I think that's perfect. And I wanted to ask also about leadership, some more about leadership. So you integrate mind, body, and business and spirit fundamentally. And when you help others, how does that change the way leaders operate when they integrate mind, body, business, and spirit?
Well, we have to look at the fact that if something's not well at home, it's going to affect your business. If your relationship is not well, that's going to affect your business. It all crosses over: mind, body, business, spirit. If any one of those areas are faulty or not doing well, and you're at a crossroads, it's going to affect the other part. It bleeds through. So I have to work on all those parts, because that tells you a lot of what's going on with the person, and you can help them get through it. You can map out a course of going, okay, well, you're stuck here. Where is that playing out in other areas of your life? So it's really important to break through to those mindset and find out what are your belief systems. You have to go back in there and really look at your beliefs, because the beliefs actually take out and carry on with the world, what you're doing. The other thing about leadership that's really important that I've discovered is teaching people 3 little tips. And as you're going to do it, you're going to do your project, you're going to realize that you need to delegate because you can't do everything yourself. There's always someone out there that can do it better than you, depending on whatever it is. You want to choose a person that can do that part, that can do it better than you. It's okay to give it things out. You need to delegate. It's so important. And the other thing to realize is if something is no longer serving you or your business, is to delete it. So it's to do it, to delegate it, or to delete it. Those 3 key points are so important in leadership.
Oh, that's great. That's great. I really agree that the self-assessment, and to see where the energy is in something, whether like the trend might be to do something out on the internet and it's not in your wheelhouse, it doesn't give you any excitement, but you're being kind of driven to do it because everyone else is or your competition is. And then you have to really be strong about knowing your values and your gifts in order to choose correctly. Is that how you help people? You see where the energy is?
Yeah, I actually build the whole archetype, whole blueprint. So I find out, how do they learn? Are they audio? Are they audio digital? Are they kinesthetic? Are they, you know, visual, right? So you got to know how someone learns. That is one key part to the archetype. And then you need to find out more about them. And are they left-handed? Are they right-handed? All these things play a lot into their personality, and you build a blueprint around them. It's not like you do everything the same for every single person. It's got to be something specific and tailored to that person. And that requires diving in and finding out more about that person. And I do a lot of multi-sensory work where I'll have them write out where they want to be in 5 years, for example. Not only do I have them write it out, because when you're actually physically writing or typing, you're engaging muscles and physiology. And then after that, I have them read to themselves what they wrote. Then I have them read it out loud. And this is all discovery, and they start to discover more about themselves in doing that, because when you read something out loud, you see how it sounds, and you may not like how that sounds. And in that moment, I tell people, okay, you've gone through that 3-step process. Now go edit it and do the same thing all over. Read it to yourself, read it out loud. If you're still not happy, you can re-edit it. That's the wonderful thing about our world too. We're on a stage, we're on a play. We are the directors, we are the actors, we are every aspect of the play. You can edit it anytime you can go in, cut a chunk out, and start over.
That's perfect. I really think that's fascinating. I'm working with someone right now that we've videotaped them for their new website, and they had to read the thing, and people are afraid to just let themselves be so that people can really sense you. So yeah, the digital age allows you to keep doing it until you get it right, right? Right.
Yeah.
As a director, So you've worked with high level leaders, CEOs, and productions under strict confidentiality. What patterns have you observed in leaders who are truly aligned versus those who struggle?
Oh my God. I'm so glad you asked that question. One of my most favorite authors and speakers is Bob Burg, because he is as he is on stage, as he is off stage. I've been to so many seminars with amazing people. However, what they were saying on stage, they go to lunch break and they're doing exactly opposite of what they said on stage. That is not authentic. That is inauthentic. And people will only do business with people that they trust, like, and they know that they have authenticity. Authenticity is key to everything. You have to be willing to be yourself. And it doesn't mean just because the camera goes on, you become a different person. It's so important to be you.
Right. And I guess it goes back to what you and I were talking about before we came on screen, was about values. When you identify your values and you use that as the barometer, if you're online or you're not off, in every communication, in every instance, even in your talking to yourself, if that's aligned to those values, that you can use that as a compass, correct?
Yes. And that's the thing too about talking to people is, are we listening, or am I already formulating? You ask me a question, and am I already, as you ask that question, formulating answers in my brain instead of actually truly listening? And that it's, everybody does it. I mean, I've even done it a few times while we've been talking. It's like you're asking me a question. I'm all excited about the question, right? And I'm all excited about the answer. So you're not fully present. You're not fully listening. It's so important to catch yourself. The other thing I use a lot with my clients is neurolinguistics, teaching them tools and language. One of my favorites is teaching leaders not to use the word but, to use the word and. When I say I love you, but, your staff or your person is going to be waiting for the other shoe to drop. If you say to them, I love you, and, they're not expecting something so hard of a landing. They're expecting something different. And you have to be able to talk to people in a way that they can hear it. And that becomes the criticism person, or the not the criticism person, right? So that's why it's so important to look at yourself, stop, pause, and then go, am I going to react to this situation, or am I going to respond to this situation? And all those things I just said are all tied in together.
I think it's perfect. You got active listening, but listening from a more loving place rather than a judgment place. I forget what in Avatar, I took the Avatar courses, and we had, I forget what they called it now, sorry, but it was a way for you to be listening, but not empathic in it. So you
Right.
can really get a chance to really have an engagement with the people without having to overlay your understanding on it. You actually are helping them process it. As women, we do this. We go back and forth just to process. I need it. I don't know about you.
Yeah, processing is very essential, and you have to honor your own processing system. Some people can process really fast. I'm a fast processor. There are other people that are not. They're very slow processing. And usually people that are kinesthetic are usually slow processors. People
Interesting.
that, yeah, I mean, because we're very touchy-feely, we're very mellow, we go with the flow. And that is a very more slow pace of learning, a slow pace of absorbing, a slow pace of processing. And you have to honor your pace. You can't do it at other people's paces.
Perfect. Perfect. Thank you. So I have another question, because you have so much experience in media. You've used film, and that's how you met Victoria, it sounds like. Use film, media, and storytelling as tools for healing and transformation. Why is storytelling so powerful for conscious businesses?
Yeah, I think we all love to talk, right? We're doing this conversation right now. And storytelling is a perfect way to share your knowledge, to share your wisdom, to actually help others. We have to always realize there's always someone somewhere that's ready to hear what you're saying in that very moment. Someone jumps on, and it's the perfect person for your talk. And we have to be open to just knowing that when we're talking, that we have to think about all the different types of people out there, and try and give little tidbits to all the different audiences. So if I talked really fast, like I'm talking with you right now, the entire interview, we're going to lose most of the kinesthetic population, right? So I have to be able to modulate and do my storytelling. So when you're doing your storytelling, you want to weave in all the different paces. So you go into a story, and all of a sudden you become a little more mellow. the other day this happened, and your pace and your tone and everything changes. And then you get to an exciting part, and then your speech gets a little more excited, a little faster. We have to just keep in mind of all the different audiences.
Right. Well, I think also storytelling is a connect the dots, because rather than, this is my opinion, I don't know if you agree, but I think we're guides now more than teachers. There's a switch where people want to do work with you rather than you lead them. They want to, it's more like a coaching or a guiding model than it was before. It used to be, as a consultant, you would get hired and they just wanted you to give back the report, you give back the information. You were a solutions provider. I think now we're seeing people, because they want to process it with you, they see people as guides. And I think your experience as a director and a producer and in media is ideal for that kind of work. Do you agree?
Yeah, I mean, you have to be willing to direct people, and you have to, and this goes back to where I say this, and I said it a little bit earlier about feedback. You have to be willing to give people feedback and direction in a way that they can hear it. Right. So that's why I also really work with them on language and not using the word but. And even in interviews, I've caught myself saying it. And the minute I catch myself saying it, I immediately change it to and. It's just so important. And just to weave in your storytelling and think about what you're going to say. It's just, you want to impact other people. Your whole purpose is servant leadership, is serving others. Yes, it doesn't mean that we forget about ourselves, but the reality is, if we're working with other people, we have to be tuned in and thinking about the other person.
Perfect. Thank you. Thank you. I agree. So now I wanted to ask about, how do conscious leaders and entrepreneurs, spiritual entrepreneurs, use media responsibly right now to elevate consciousness rather than just sell?
Yeah, that's such an important thing that you brought up. Yes, selling, we need to sell. Yes. However, storytelling can be a much better appropriate way to sell, because storytelling is not like selling. That's another thing that's great about storytelling. Storytelling can be a way of leading or directing someone to a sale. However, in the storytelling, you're not like hammering them with the sale. Does that make sense?
Yeah, I think that, there's a little bit of insecurity, at least I have sometimes, telling stories, because I never was good at telling jokes. And there's stories too, but the idea is that you want to create a bond with all businesses relationship, let's put it that way. And when you're trying to communicate a bond that you may have something in common that you can build on, it creates trust. And right now, all marketing is know, like, and trust the person, correct?
It is. That's how you get word of referral by mouth. When you work with people and they trust and they like you, they tell their friends, and their friends will come and reach out to you. I mean, to me, referrals are awesome, because referrals, they've already done part of the vetting, and then, you can do a little more of your vetting. But and I just did it. And the important thing to remember is that in referrals, they're just, to me, I have a better experience with a referral, word of mouth person than I do me going after someone.
Perfect. So I think that the fear of media is really big. I mean, that's where so many people are doing these AI look-alike people, and there's this whole trend in marketing with faceless AI, and I just don't know what is your sense on
Yeah,
the AI.
Yeah. So AI has a purpose in business. It really does help people. However, I also think that, you're going back to what you were asking me before, which I didn't totally address. Why media is so important for leaders and what to do is you can create really good wisdom speaker reels. You can create little snippets of wisdom and put them out and trickle them out all over the place. And the media, it just has to be done responsibly, meaning that you've done your vetting, you've done your homework, what you're talking about, you know about, you're not talking from, a place that you do not know. Another thing I'm really careful about with my clients and I consult on is not to use the words a world's best expert, world's number one, all that language, because there's always someone somewhere that knows more than you do. And that's perfectly okay. That's the beauty of the world. There's many of us, there's many life coaches, there's many leaders, and we're all going to resonate with who we resonate with.
I agree. I think that's perfect. The other thing I wanted to bring up about AI or media that's created by AI versus the actual person is that you may be able to multiply yourself with the AI, but it doesn't create the same bond as when you're authentic. And I still think, even these short little handheld videos on your phone are really priceless because, again, if you want to know, like, and trust each other, and you really believe in what you're doing and what you're offering, it's your life's passion or it's your genius, then that shows. That energy is conveyed in even those little phone with your baseball cap on or whatever. So that's what I want to encourage people, not to be so afraid of doing what we're doing right now, because it's really not that hard to do, and you can always erase it.
Yeah, you can always erase it, that's for sure. And that's the same thing about every day we wake up, it's a new day. Right? You can always, that's what I was saying about, we are the editors, we are the directors, we are the producers, we are the actresses, we are playing all those roles simultaneously. That's the beauty of it.
Yeah. And the thing is also that the idea that whatever you have is your gift and your journey, which has been a gift in whatever way it's materialized, can help shorten somebody else's learning curve for their next steps. And if you can be brave enough to get out and do either podcasts or, again, the using media that's available right now, it's so easy to do. It'll make a huge difference for the people that you're trying to serve.
Yeah, the reaching out, again, everyone resonates with, I talk with my hands a lot, but people resonate with body language, they resonate with the face, they resonate with the voice. So you really do need to figure out what your personality is and what that is and carry that through. It's not making up a personality, it's literally being you and not being afraid to be you.
Okay, so I have another question for you, because when I looked at I think it was your Amazon description, your author page, it talks about that you were in New York during 9/11. How did that whole event shape your future, shape who you are right now?
Right. So I've had an interesting life. The 67 surgeries, I've almost died multiple times. I was literally at the train station on my way to 9/11. Like, I literally worked at World Trade Center. I worked at Tower 1. And so I was on the other side. I was at the PATH train, and all of a sudden they're like, "You're not getting on the train. No one's getting on the train. It's done." And then finally they told us what was happening. And it was, so we all, were getting on phones, but obviously the phones weren't working. I was really blessed. None of my clients passed away. We only had one person from our office that died. But yeah, it did shape me. It made me realize that time is short. It can be very short, and that you need to value your life and think about what you want to do with your life, because life can take a turn at any moment. You can be walking down the street, you can get hit by a car, you can get a disease. There's just so many things out there. It's not one thing or another. It's not like, oh, I get the big C and I'm going to die from that. It could be as simple as literally walking down the street, or something as catastrophic as 9/11 was. It was, they also made us go back into the city the week later and meet with everybody, because some people weren't there and some people were there. And that was also a bit traumatic. And also, but for the people that were there, having us there to support them was something that was really needed. But yeah, 9/11 was definitely something that made me think. I missed it by 1 hour.
I was there 2 weeks or 3 weeks afterwards. And I was, back then, I was working for someone in the clothing industry. And we went to the Empire State Building, and they frisked us. I mean, I think they thought that's another monument that might be hit next. And yeah, it was something. I mean, the whole city just was numb, I guess, was processing. So you have seen that kind of change, and now we're going into a period where we may have as many changes as that, but slower. It's not, may not be high impact. The stock market might change over a period of time. The money system, everything is up for grabs if we have disclosure of the UFO disclosure. There's just so many things happening. So what lessons can you share from your healing from that trauma that might help people right now with what they're feeling about the changes going on?
And one thing I also want to touch upon is survivor guilt. That was one thing I dealt with a lot afterwards too, because there were all these people that died in the other buildings and everything, and I missed it by an hour. You do have some survivor guilt, and it's also profounded because you have to deal with FEMA. FEMA is the Federal Emergency Fund, if you will. And I had to go to FEMA because I lost everything. I had equipment in there. I lost my job, obviously. And you still have rent to pay and all this other stuff to do. So I actually had to work with FEMA. And that was, I think, actually very traumatic working with FEMA. But yeah, there was a lot of survival guilt because you're going there and seeing all those people that lost family members and lost a lot more than I did. And you have to think about that as well. You have to just be grateful and just realize that, it is what it is, and do as much as you can to help others.
So did the clarity after 9/11 influence your decision to reach more people through media and consulting?
Yes, it did. It made me want to be back out there. I took a little break recently, and now I'm back out there again. And I think it's important also that everyone takes a break. If you're realizing you're getting burnt out, don't be afraid to take a break. You can always come back and restart up. And it's important to honor your body and honor your mind and honor your spirit and your soul. If you're floundering, if you're struggling, to take that break that's necessary to do the healing work that you need to do to come back strong.
That's beautiful. Perfect. So again, I mean, most of us can't really imagine what adversity you've gone through between all of your surgeries, 9/11. I mean, oh my gosh, you poor thing. So what is your strength? How do you keep strength for going through adversity?
Well, one of the things I do is I actually pre-frame it, and I'll tell people I accept prayers. I accept you got this. I won't accept I'm so sorry. The types of that energy, because that energy doesn't serve me. That energy is not going to help me get through something. But if someone says to me, you got this, girl, you got this, that gives me enough oomph to want to get there. That's why I say language is so important too. And when someone has cancer or something like that, and people get weird, they don't know how to talk to the person, or death. People don't talk about death. And all of a sudden they're going to die and leave all this in the hands of other people, instead of having the conversations with your family of what you want, what you don't want, what you'll accept, what you won't accept. We have to have the conversations. We have to have the hard conversations. You have to be, I know people that are in their 40s don't have wills. I mean, it's just like, we have to be responsible enough to take care of things and not be worried like, but if I do the will, that means I'm going to die. Well, we're all going to die. But the point is, you have to be strong enough to actually do the steps that are necessary so that we also leave this place better for other people. And I wouldn't want to leave this planet and have everything just dumped in someone else's lap. I want to make sure everything's ironed out so it's a seamless transition.
Yep. Yep. And again, the opportunity with meditation and using your spiritual side, you get glimpse of the out of body experience, which is possibly our next step. And you've had near death, you with all of your sister, all of your challenges that you've made and processed, you've had lots of chances to look at the spiritual side of all of this and the journey, and help other people from your perspective, because you have a broad perspective compared to most people. Most people are living their day-to-day life and don't even look at the big picture. But because of all of your experiences, you have such a different viewpoint that can help so many people.
Well, I think a lot of it was, I grew up overseas. I traveled a lot. I changed schools 12 times. I'm not saying that was great. It wasn't. However, having had all those experiences made me a person that can just go through any change. Like, I can be dropped off somewhere in the middle of nowhere and I can find my way. So I'm very adaptable. So that's one thing that came out of that. It wasn't an easy childhood by any means. It made me very, very adaptable.
Right. And that makes sense too, that it made you a leader, because you weren't waiting for permission like so many kids are, so many people are waiting for permission. But most of the people that we're talking to are leaders, and they are working on every day releasing patterns and programs that don't serve them anymore, creating better systems, being aware of their clients' needs as well as their employees, which is a challenge. It really is a lot of work. And then whatever time they have left, they get to work on themselves. So do you have any suggestions for the people that may not have systems in place, or they may not have structure that supports them in a positive way? Do you have any suggestions for them?
Yeah, I totally highly recommend that anyone get a mentor or a coach, or doesn't matter what it is to you. It could be, you may want to be to a life coach. It might be a business coach, whatever that is for you. But it's so important to have someone to speak to bounce ideas off of. I think that really helps a lot. And you can learn a lot too, because how someone else does something could be different from the way you do it. And it could be something that enhances what you do. So you have to be open to just listening and learn from others, and be willing to teach others as well, because that's the thing. It's like, we're all teachers. Even anytime you're with someone else that you may think is less than, no one is less than. They all have something to contribute and serve.
That's so true. And that, I believe that's why we're here. I mean, the whole opportunity is to keep learning, be constant learner. And in our fast paced life, we get a chance to learn every day. There's something new coming through. But could you suggest best ways for people to focus on how they can keep self-improving? Because again, the outside is really loud. The chaos in the field, if you're sensitive, or if you have I don't watch the news, but I still have YouTube on and other things that it creeps in. And it's like a plague gone bad with the script writers picking up tragedy, trauma, drama on Tuesday. And then by Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, there's a new one. And then, if they didn't get enough juice out of the one on Tuesday, they bring it back next week. I mean, it's just too much. I don't know how people deal with it. Could you suggest how people can deal with it?
Yeah, I think like there's a lot of tools. There's meditation. Maybe that's not for you, but meditation is a great tool. Sound vibratory music. There's sound vibratory music that is specifically for focusing. There's sound vibratory music for sleep. There's sound vibratory music for all sorts of things. I truly believe in sound vibratory music. I have music playing literally 24/7. And it's funny. If my Alexa goes off in the middle of the night, I literally will wake up. Like I'll know that it's not on, and then I'll say, "Okay, Alexa, continue." But it's really funny. I literally do viscerally wake up. But yeah, there's so many tools out there now. One of an app that I absolutely love. I'm actually gonna look for it right now because it's a great app. It's called Insight Timer, and you can create. It has a whole library of music, and you can also set timers, and then you can set timers with bells, with tinchas, with symbols, whatever it is. But it's a great tool, and it also has quotes. It has it's a really fabulous tool. I love it. And it's called Mind's Insight.
Mind's Insight. Okay. And do you, because when you work with people, do you do hypnotherapy and use NLP and hypnotherapy with them as part of their transformation?
It depends on the person. Yeah, it depends on the person. Some people really aren't as hypnotizable as others. Some of them are more open to it than others. The more open you are to it, the more it's going to work. The more closed off you are to it, the less it's going to work. So I won't do it on someone who's totally like, what do you call it? What's the word I'm looking for? That doesn't believe in hypnosis. In other words, they think it's a bunch of woo-woo nonsense and that it doesn't work. There's no point in me doing hypnosis on someone like that. There's not. I have to do work before I get to that point to do hypnosis on that person. I'd have to work on opening them up and yeah.
Well, so I'd just love if you would, if you could share some turnaround stories or some result stories that you've had, so people can identify with what wonderful results you've gotten.
Yeah. So one of the things I do, and I know you do with business too, I get hired by businesses. I'll actually go in and I'll actually walk the entire business, and I'll actually interview every single person that works there. And I find out what are their thoughts, what is working, what isn't working. And then I can go back to the boss and go, look, I talked to your entire team. I've walked the entire place. Feng Shui wise, there are some things that can be done. Feng Shui, by the way, is something that does have a purpose in businesses as well as homes. Feng Shui is more of the art of energy. It's where you place things, how energy flows. That's a little bit about Feng Shui. I'll go in, I'll tell them, I actually looked and see what traits are best with what specific personnel, and go, this person I think you have in the wrong position. This person will be better in this position. And then literally overhaul the entire business and then go from there. And those have been some really great stories, just to see the transformation of the business, the actual leader having so much more, literally smiling more, being more happy because he's seeing his workers are happier, things are running smoother, more income is coming in. I love walking businesses and talking to everybody and finding out and building a blueprint from there for them.
I think that's fantastic. I, in my experience, I've also seen that a lot of the people that don't have leadership roles but are doing the jobs, have great ideas for how to do improvement in systems, and they never get a voice. And so, so a lot of times when you do a project like that, you can give them a voice and adapt their solutions because they're already doing the work all along.
Yeah,
So,
I always say, I tell leaders to have a box that's not inside their office, that's outside their office. That anyone can put a piece of paper in with
oh,
tips and tricks. And that way it's anonymous. If they choose to put their name, that's more than welcome. But the point is, having a box like that is so important at an office, because people that don't have a voice can be given a voice.
yeah, and that's an open and loving environment anyway. It's not the same fear-driven corporate environment that we've been used to. Have you seen a lot of changes since the lockdown in the way people are running their businesses? I know lots of people are still working from home, and I think the production went up from people working at home instead of down. You would think there'd be more distractions. Have you seen a lot of changes?
Yeah, I've seen a lot of changes when it comes to that. A lot of people, yes, are still working from home, and they find out people that are working from home, they call out less. They get more actually work done. And I think it's because, they're home. There's two sides to it. There's some people that don't do well working from home. They feel like they're locked in, they get depressed, they want socialization. A lot of companies, what they're doing is they're also renting out one of those offices, where you can just go in and work whenever you want. And they rent out like 2 or 3 stations, so that people that do work at home, if like once or twice a week they want to go into an office, they can. So that's something I've seen a lot of. And yeah, I've seen both. I've seen people that are still loving working from home, and some people that are not liking working from home.
Sorry, I didn't like it at first because my first 6 years of business, I worked from home, and I couldn't wait to get an office. And then during the lockdown, I had a beautiful office it was magical, and I had to let it go because no one was going to go. And at first, I kept it for the first month or so, but then it got creepy going there by myself.
Mm.
Because no one was in the building. I mean, it was creepy. So I let that go, and I'm still working from home. So and it looks like you are too. So, I actually enjoyed going to the office. It seemed to give me a better delineation between my life and my work. And I liked that. I don't have good with the boundaries. I'm not good with the boundaries about that.
A lot of people aren't good with those boundaries. So the thing you can do is like what I have a calendar on the fridge, and I write stuff down on the calendar, what's happening, what meetings are going on. And then I also keep something on my desk that has, and I also have my phone. I think we need to find tools for ourselves that work for us, that'll make those types of things easier, like time management, right? Because like when you're for home, you gotta think about time management, because it's
Yep.
easy to get sidetracked and go sit on the sofa or watch a TV show, or do something. Oh, I need a break. But then you get lost in whatever you were doing, and then next thing you know, hours have passed by. So you really need to come up with some sort of schedule and be willing to stick to it.
Well, I think that's where, when you were talking about having a coach or having a mentor, or having even a mastermind, what the benefit of all of that is accountability.
Yes.
And that's the challenge when you're working all as a lone eagle without any outside input, that you can put all the stuff you want on your calendar, but it can have slippage, right?
Yes, exactly.
So do you have a suggestion for people for that, for how to be accountable to their projects?
Timers.
Ah.
timer in here all the time. Let's say I want to do a 2-hour chunk of work. I'll set a timer for 2 hours. I'll set alarms. So like, let's say I am going to go take a break. I'll set an alarm for 15 minutes. Or if I'm taking a lunch break, I might, whatever, however. I think the phone is an amazing tool for scheduling things and for setting timers up. But I find the timer really works well.
That's great. I used to have a little timer that I had on my desktop before the phones were good, and I'd have it for 30 minutes usually. And then sometimes I'll listen to music that only has a half an hour, and then it's like, oh, okay, back out, in, out. So how do you see people using, I want to go back to media a little bit, because your expertise as an actress and a speaker and a producer and an author and a director, all of those things really lead to you being a huge resource for somebody that wants to use media. Could you talk a little bit more about media for a conscious business leader or servant leader, and how they could use it to their benefit?
One thing I love is the summits are kind of done. I don't like summits because there's too many people and you get lost in the shuffle. Find ways of getting interviewed. Go on, meet a guest, and literally find places where your voice can be heard. It's really important to have your voice out there so people can connect with the voice and connect with your work. And that is a really important thing. And the media piece is you can do like, and people use TikTok, they use Instagram, they use Facebook Live, create little lives here and there. You can just do it from your phone. I haven't done a lot of that recently because I've been dealing a lot more medical stuff. So I don't, so I haven't been doing a lot of that. I've been doing more the podcasting and the video casting. So that is a really important tool. It helps you get your voice out there in a way that you wouldn't normally be heard. So I think that is a great tool. Also, you can create speaker reels from doing, let's say you get interviewed, you can create speaker reels from that, pulling out snippets and creating speaker reels, which are really great to have. And that's a great way for people to get to know you and to know your work. But yeah, media has definitely a place, and social media has a place. I love social media because it really helps us connect.
Right. And I think, for those of us that are not afraid to be real and raw, I mean, it's amazing times. It used to be, 20 years ago, 25 years ago, you had to pay so much money to get the visibility that you can get right now, just like what we're doing. And really, it's more about you making a decision that what you share needs an audience, needs to get out to people, needs to be heard, needs a buzz.
Right.
And so that's the other part of it. Carly, could you talk about how people figure that out, what it is that their messaging should be, or how they figure out what those values are that they can share in the media?
Yeah. So one thing I find really great to do is either, like I said, get a mentor or a coach or a friend, is to talk about your values with them. Talk out what you would talk out on a podcast or whatever it is, and get their feedback. Go, what do you think? This is a messaging I would like to put out there, but when I talk, this comes out. So how can I tweak this? Ask people's opinion. Don't be afraid to ask, because if you don't ask, the answer is always going to be no. If you ask, you can get a lot of really good feedback, which can help you do your media better.
Right. And when you get real clear on who you do serve, what your offering is a solution to someone's problem, you can really focus on that conversation and really narrow who is going to hear and benefit. rather than being broad. Right now, we're hoping that you're understanding how important values are in this discussion today. What both Carly and I are sharing is value-driven communications. And we're hoping that you're going to see that there's really no excuse to not share your genius right now. Right, Carly?
Yeah, a lot of people don't share because they're afraid if they share what they're working on, it's going to be stolen. Well, first of all, there's thousands of coaches out there. There's thousands of clients out there. There's more than enough for everybody. So don't be afraid to share. Don't be afraid to get out there and speak. Another great tool I have found anyway is symposiums. Look for people that do symposiums that are small amount of people on them, like 10 and under, because that way you can really get your voice out there and you're with like-minded people. So if you're in a symposium, for example, about money, everyone that's on there is talking about money in some shape or form, and you all complement each other and you can really get your message out there.
Yep, perfect. And again, when you get a chance to work with somebody like Carly, you'll have a whole different way of communicating that's aligned with you. You aren't acting out. You're not putting on airs. It's really your authentic voice, your authentic self that's getting out to the people that need to hear it. And it's a whole different way of feeling confident, correct?
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah. And so that's why I was so excited for you to meet Carly and to get a chance to hear about her story. You know that she's an incredible, enthusiastic partner that can help you cheerlead you through whatever challenges you may be having in your business or in your personal life right now, to bring out the best possible solutions as we go through these waves of change. And because of her experience, and her intuition, she can sense out what's coming that you might be able to benefit from as well. Right, Carly?
Yeah, I tap into my intuition almost, and not even almost, it's literally all day long. And that's something I think you and I have had to learn, is how do we energetically protect ourselves? How do we clear? Clearing is so important. It's really important that you find someone that knows something about energy and is also willing to teach you how to energetically protect yourself and how to energetically clear a room. You'd be surprised. You go into places to have meetings and the energy in there is so horrible. Before the meeting, arrive before the meeting, clear the space. And so the space has a fresh energy for you and whoever you're having your meeting with. It's energy plays a very vital role in your work. It just does.
Yeah. And for people that may not totally understand the spiritual language, if you just use flow, even in your concept, in your understanding, that when when you're in the flow versus when you're not in the flow, where it feels like everything's fighting you and there's a barrier to your success. And what we're talking about is we want you to be able to give so much of your life to source energy and why you came here, and bless us all with your genius. I want to let you know, because I did tag Victoria. She said, I'm so glad that you're putting friends of mine together in the same space is one of my favorite things. I knew you'd hit it off. Big hugs. Thanks, Victoria. Victoria is a blessing. Yeah. And then I want to also show you that Joseph wrote.
Yeah, that's my uncle, actually.
Oh, and a belated happy birthday. Yeah. That's cool. Isn't that cool? That's what I'm saying. You don't know when you're doing these interviews who you're helping. You have no idea who it reaches, and it's a recording that can be used for years to come. So we want to encourage you to check out Carly's work. And Carly, what's the best way for them to find out more about you?
You can just go to my website, carlyathorne.com.
Okay. And please look at the description and share this information everywhere for people, the loved ones in your life that you know could use Carly's help, and your friends and family, because you are just this close to bringing out the best of yourself through this work. Thank you, Carly.
Absolutely. Thank you so much for having me. It's been wonderful.
Thank you. Bye-bye, everyone. Please share, please share, please share.